Friday, and I want to hear what you have to say.
The whole thing is now people in Kate Brown's own party are starting to ask why. Is expressing our opinion and speaking freely is essential to bringing about change in our society.
And the control that the government and people want to have over me, the more they grab and grasp at it, the less they can take it.
Well, good evening and welcome to Get Real with Rick Dancer. We're glad to have you here. We got a lot of stuff for you tonight on the show. We're packing it full. We're going to have talk about how oxygen can help you. So many people are writing me and telling me, Rick, I am so stressed because of everything going on in the world. And so Matt McCarl from New Leaf Hyperbarics and Wellness Center is going to be here to talk about some breathing things, also some infrared light that you can do, some blue lights you can use, all kinds of ways to kind of relax us and do that sort of thing. He'll be coming up a little bit later. We also have Kevin Mannix with, here's something you don't hear much, Common Sense for Oregon. That's kind of a novel idea in Oregon, common sense. But this is a group, and I think some of you are going to be really excited about what they are attempting to do. So Kevin Mannix is going to explain that to us. But first, what would we be without Bill Lundun from KPNW to start us off with just some of the wonderful headlines, the stories you probably don't hear anywhere else but KPNW or right here on Get Real with Rick Dancer. Bill, how you doing tonight? Here you go.
From the 11:20 a.m. and 93.7 FM KPNW studios, good evening, and here's a look at some of the stories that we're following tonight. A pair of Oregon state senators doubt the numbers, the statistics, and even the treatments we've been seeing and hearing about from the CDC and the FDA regarding COVID-19. Now, the Epoch Times reported that back in August, those senators petitioned Oregon U.S. Attorney Scott Osbog, chief federal law enforcement officer for the state, to put those numbers to the test with a grand jury investigation. Republican Senators Kim Thatcher and Dennis Linthicum sent a petition to do just that, with the signatures as well from almost 55,000 people. At issue is a whistleblower who, in a sworn statement, claimed that the data reported under the CDC's Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System may have been underreported by a factor of 5. In the petition, the senators expressed concerns over the measurement and reporting of COVID-19 vaccine adverse reactions, including fatalities and injuries. Their other concern is the widely used PCR tests, which have been noted widely throughout the pandemic to be unreliable and producing a high percentage of false positive results. The senators and petitioners also claim there is empirical evidence that numerous effective treatments for COVID-19 are actually being withheld from Americans. While the letter and petition were sent in August, the information is now just becoming made public to protect those who are initially involved. The Corvallis School Board is going to be considering whether or not to require all students aged 12 and older to be vaccinated against COVID-19. They'll be doing that tomorrow night. And at that time, the Corvallis School Board may very well explore the possibility of directing the superintendent to implement that measure. And it would, in essence, exclude non-vaccinated kids from in-person learning and also school facilities. And next week, Portland Public Schools are going to be holding their first of 3 town halls on a possible student vaccine mandate in that school district for ages 12 and up. Now, from the 35,000-foot view, ABC News has reported the White House told governors on Tuesday to prepare to start vaccinating children next month. The administration said in a private call with governors that once federal regulators approve the Pfizer vaccine for kids as young as 5, it's going to be distributed immediately for that purpose. Well, the looming October 18th vaccination deadline set by Governor Kate Brown is going to apply to less than a fifth of the state's 42,270 executive branch workers and could apply to even fewer depending on the outcome of ongoing collective bargaining agreements. That's because unions representing almost 28,000 state employees have negotiated deals to delay the deadline to be fully vaccinated to November 30th. Then the state independently extended the deadline to November 30th for another 7,100 plus unrepresented workers and employees in management and executive services. So those roughly 35,000 workers will have to prove they've received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine by October 18th, but won't have to be fully vaccinated until the end of November, 6 weeks beyond Brown's original deadline. That appears to leave only about 7,000 state workers who will have to prove they're fully vaccinated by this Monday to avoid potentially losing their jobs. Liz Mara, spokesperson for Brown, said more than half of those remaining workers are represented by other workers or unions, and they include things like police officers, corrections officials, and firefighters. Mara said those unions remain in negotiations. As of October 8th, the state had received proof of vaccination from about 65% of executive branch employees, according to the Department of Administrative Services. Well, a Lane County commissioner is suggesting the vaccine mandates for public employees may actually be a form of structural racism. And it came up during a discussion about Lane County's vaccine mandate for employees. County Commissioner Jay Bozovich on this morning's wake-up call on KPNW said OHA numbers and new numbers in a county report focusing on Lane County could potentially point to a vaccine mandate as being structurally racist.
And the report clearly shows that vaccination rates for Hispanics, Blacks, and Native Americans lags at least 20% and almost up to 30% behind the white vaccination rate. And it begs the question, our employee population reflects Lane County's population very much. And if we implement this vaccine mandate, will we be laying off minorities at a higher rate than we're laying off white employees due to this vaccine mandate? And is that, in fact, going to cause problems as we look at also rehiring that population that's available to be hired? You're basically, with the minorities, 50% of that population will be ineligible for a public job. So is that, in fact, going to institutionalize a racist differential? And the background of this is our board declared racism a public health emergency last summer.
Now, Bozovich said that they're still waiting for other specific numbers on county employees' vax rates and minority employees, but he did say that he believed, based on preliminary data, that Public Works would be the hardest hit if the county mandated employees to be vaccinated by November 30th. He says he wants the deadline delayed or eliminated, and Bozovich said while he is pro-vaccine, he is against vaccine mandates. It should be mentioned that we had a sketch artist do a drawing of Commissioner Bozovich that we could show while the audio was being played. I decided that that would divert attention from what he was saying, but I still didn't want to waste it. So got to use it. I mean, we paid for it.
Yeah.
And finally, New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof, who spent some of his youthful years in Oregon, has made a decision that after months of public exploration, he has taken a step towards running for Oregon governor by forming a political action committee. Kristof, a Democrat, officially filled in the committee paperwork on Tuesday. That allows him to raise money and hire staff ahead of an official announcement of his candidacy. Political consultant Carol Butler has been working with Kristof as a volunteer as he considers the race, and she somewhat downplayed the significance of the filing, saying it would allow him to continue exploring the ideas. In case you're wondering, Kristof has lived for many years and currently does in New York State. Coming up tomorrow morning on the Wake Up Call, we are going to be talking about the homeless situation in Eugene with a member of the Eugene City Council, also a businessman who's putting a group together to try and come up with ideas to combat homelessness in the community, and a local area pastor who's involved in that. And we'll have one of the people behind the lawsuit against the state of Oregon regarding its abuse of kids in foster care. And now, that said, And that'll be, by the way, tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. to 9. That said, it is time now for Rick, and he's going to get real.
I am going to get real. So why not have another guy from New York State run for office in Oregon? Ron Wyden is a senator for Oregon, and he lives in New York State. So, hey, it's kind of an Oregon thing, I guess. That's kind of what we do in this state. Well, we shouldn't be doing that. I want to thank Dr. Michael Bratlin from Chris Dental Family Dentistry. He sponsors Bill Lundun's newscast every night. His idea, we brought him on, and it's working out really well. I think we need to kind of work on that artist sketch, maybe just a little bit. What do you think, Matt? I'd hate to see that artist draw you or me. That would be a really bad mix,
Absolutely. I thought it was amazing, though. Absolutely.
We already know you're a big Bill Lundun fan. So, Matt, New Leaf Hyperbarics and Wellness Center, he is sponsoring the next few segments of our show. You're going to come on a little bit later after our next segment and tell us what, Matt?
How folks can, like you were mentioning earlier, folks are stressed out. So we can talk a little bit about how hyperbarics and our new power bed can help folks kind of have a better day, better sleep, and get rid of some of this stress that's going on.
All right. And it all happens with a lot of hot air. Well, it's not really hot, but mine is hot. There's a lot of air and a lot of light, but special light.
Yeah.
And you'll tell us more. Oh, Michelle's saying hi, so just so you see her.
Hello, Michelle.
All right, Matt, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes here. Okay, so now we're going to bring on someone who is from Common Sense, Oregon. And I know this guy because he's been around politics in Oregon for a long, long time, ran for governor, run for a lot of different things. Kevin Mannix, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, and it's nice to be with you.
You look good. It's nice to see you. Back in the saddle here.
Well, I've maintained January. I will have had my law firm for 36 years here in Salem. We do business law generally, but I've never really pulled out of politics. I've served as chair of the Republican Party, chair of the Marion County Republicans, and of course, I served 10 years in the legislature. The key being getting results, getting legislation passed to get rid of bad laws, fix broken laws, and then pass new laws to address new issues. And the whole point is to get results when you're a legislature, as well as advocate for your constituents. And you brought up Common Sense for Oregon. We created this years ago as an organization that's a nonprofit that works to press for common sense solutions and common sense government, which these days is sometimes hard.
Kevin, is there, what I argue with people all the time, I say, is there really such a thing anymore as common sense? Is not common at all.
Well, in fact, we always hear people saying they want to rely on common sense, but common sense really is what we instinctively think is right. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
More and more, the state is micromanaging what our school districts can do, what our school boards can decide. And yet, if you really would bring things down to a local level, ask people instinctively, what is best for our kids in the schools? And when you start to ask those questions, you understand that common sense is not being applied in many instances. The micromanagement by the state, and then activist leftist groups running candidates for school boards who aren't there to talk about education, but are there to talk about all kinds of social philosophies and policies being imposed on the schools or through the schools on our kids. So when you push back against that, parents are supposed to be the primary force in teaching their kids, and we should be listening to parents as to what our schools ought to be doing.
Yeah, but what I try to keep reminding my viewers and the audience is that the legislature, the governor, the school boards, they work for you. And somehow we've got this all messed around where we're now, we're the tail's wagging the dog rather than the dog wagging the tail. And that's where I think people are starting to wake up and say, wait a minute, this isn't what I want. So tell me what this new move is that you guys are doing. I really want people to understand what you're talking about.
Emergency powers limitations. The governor of Oregon has taken two statutes, one which is a general emergency statute, another is a medical emergency statute, and she has blended them together and stretched them so far as to assert almost complete authority over whatever she says she ought to be able to rule. And I'll give you a simple example from the beginning. We have a law that says, in terms of an epidemic in a local community, if there's an epidemic breaking out, the governor does have the power to shut down activities for 14 days. 14 days. And she can renew that for 14 days. 28 days, the power expires. And what she did was she said, well, we've got that, but there's the general emergency law, which is for forest fires and droughts and floods and earthquakes, storms, and that has no time limit. And she said, well, I'm declaring an emergency under both of these. And the Oregon Supreme Court gave her a bye on this and said, well, that means there's no time limit. So we've been seeing continued regulation of schools and businesses by the governor through this authority. And we have a constitutional amendment that we've written up. We're going to propose it to the legislature, and then if necessary, later take it to the voters, that says, wait a minute. First of all, the governor has no emergency powers except for those that are specified in legislation. None of this general powers of government stuff. Second of all, when she says there's an emergency, she needs to name the counties that are affected. We have 36 counties. You could say it's in all 36 counties. But then, after 30 days, whatever the governor has declared in any county cannot continue unless the county commissioners for that county say, we will continue this. But they can also say, well, we don't agree with all of this. We're going to limit it. So the county commissioners, local government, become the determinants as to how you continue to respond. And every 30 days, they have to vote in favor of continuing some element of emergency. So the governor only has this power for 30 days. And that's a complete change. It's a time limitation, but it's also a shift of power from the governor's office to your local county commissioners, 36 counties deciding their own future. That's what we put together.
Is this kind of like Senate Bill 533?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
It sounds real similar to that. So you guys are putting this out now to get the word out on this idea. Is this kind of like a trial balloon to see if they're ready to do something like this?
Yes, I've sent it out to all the county commissioners around the state. We forwarded to a lot of other folks. We have it on our website, and we're actually sending it out to folks in mailing saying, what's your response to this? We're not going to be presumptuous that we're perfect. Do you have comments about the language? What is the input? And we'll carry on that process for some time. But we do need to have a constitutional amendment that limits the power of the governor as to emergencies, because she has just run amok with those powers.
And especially for all counties, but when you get into rural Oregon, where they weren't seeing some of the trouble that other counties were seeing, they were being treated the exact same way as Multnomah and Clackamas and Washington, where the outbreaks were bigger in Lane. And they feel that would give them their county commissioners some power back to handle that.
Empower local government. And by the way, there are 8 counties right now that have said they're not following the vaccine mandates of the governor. Let's re-empower local government through our Constitution and say we respect those folks who are locally elected and who have the opportunity to make a decision for their county as to their local circumstances. And they may decide, yes, this is a continuing situation. We need to maintain the emergency. But they may also say, in our county, we don't need to do this, and it's over.
All right. Kevin, thank you so much for coming. How do people find out more about this and get involved with that?
They can go to the Common Sense for Oregon website. We have information on the website about this and other things we're doing. We have been challenging the governor's use of her agencies as enforcement tools. She's been using not just OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. She's been using the lottery. She's been using the Liquor Control Commission. And actually, if it's truly a medical matter, it ought to be the Oregon Health Authority that's addressing it. But she has limited that or gotten around it by saying these other agencies will be her enforcement groups.
All right. Kevin Mannix, thank you so much for joining us. Common Sense for Oregon. I can't think of anything better. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be with you. Take care now.
See you later. All right. So as you guys see, we have a troll. Shelley Davy is just all mouthy and saying all kinds of nasty little things on there. And if I could figure out how to get you off of there, I'd dump you. But you're just going to town on. Oh, wait, there we go. I think I found a way. Oh, you have slipped into here, you snarly person, you. And I don't have a way of getting off. You really got into my system. There you go, Shelby Davy. Well, it's a troll. So you guys just ignore the troll. We're not going to pay attention to what they're doing. And after the show, I will go into my little secret Wizard of Oz booth and I will block you for life. That's what I can do to you, Shelby. Have fun with it, girl. Whatever you are. Matthew. There is never a dull moment on the Get Real with Rick Dancer show. I'm
Never.
So, my man, I'm excited to have you here. I was just talking to somebody today, and she was saying to me, God, Rick, I can't sleep. I am so stressed out from all of this and everything that's going on. It is crazy. And so what are some things, I mean, I know, what are some things people can do? You're in the business of oxygen, and oxygen, as we're learning, is really, even under high pressure, is great, but even we can do some things at home without going into the tank that we can do to kind of relieve that.
Yeah, well, most folks know about yoga and yoga breathing, where you're just taking a nice deep breath in through your nose, holding it for a few seconds, and then breathing out fully through your mouth. And you do that a few times, and that just helps excite everything in all the nerve endings in your body. And you just start feeling them tingle, and it helps you just really relax. And there's another gentleman named Wim Hof, and he's been around for a while. And there's a way of breathing called the Wim Hof Method, and you can look it up. And it's similar. It's a little bit like yoga breathing, but a little bit more to it than that.
Is that the one? Is that what that one is?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So it's just helps you get more. It helps you get the maximum amount of oxygen in your body that you can without breathing supplemental oxygen. And Wim Hof actually was one of the gentlemen that first realized that cancer and oxygen don't get along. And the more you oxygenate your body, the less chance for cancer to survive in it. So that's a really good thing to do.
And you're finding with your business that with the hyperbaric tanks, that this is really effective for people, even your family members who have cancer. This is super effective at putting people in remission and getting them where they need to be.
Absolutely, yeah. And glad you brought that up, because it is Cancer Awareness Month. I have a few friends that are like Real Men Wear Pink, and they're fundraising this month for that, because it is that month. And yes, my wife is in full remission, and I think I mentioned it on one of the shows earlier, where her tumor that was non-surgical, non-removable, they did an ultrasound in June after 8 years of hyperbarics, is pretty much non-existent, which is fantastic. And all she does is take a nap, basically, in a hyperbaric chamber for a few hours at a time, multiple times a week. And has been doing that religiously for 8 years now.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy was on Chris Williams' podcast, and he was talking about, he's written books and studied breathing. And he says most of us should be breathing more, which I noticed after I listened to this, out of our nose. And you always, when you get in the hyperbaric chamber, you put little tubes right there at the edge of our nose, because he says, instead of breathing out of your mouth, breathing out of your nose causes you to take a deeper breath. And there's proof that that's really the way to do it. And so I've been, like, at night when I have trouble sleeping, I've been doing that, and it does help keeping my mouth shut until I fall asleep, and then I don't know what's happening. And I'm afraid if I put duct tape over my mouth, I might end up dead. And then who wants to be the guy that died from duct taping his own mouth? And that would be a horrible thing.
Yeah, that would be good.
So tell them also,
absolutely, in through your nose, out through your mouth is a really good way, and it's a good cleansing breath.
What about talk about light therapy too? The stuff you're doing with light therapy is just fascinating to me.
Yeah, we have a couple different options for the light therapy. We can do the light therapy in the chamber to target specific areas, where we use the red, the infrared, and the blue light for targeting specific areas of the body. We have a cap that goes on your head that's the red and the infrared, and we can set it for a relaxation setting to help you really relax and just feel get a lot of stress out. There's an eye mask that we can put on with that's red and blue light. And the blue light really works with your circadian rhythm. So we don't usually do that after 3 in the afternoon for folks with the blue light because can keep you awake at night.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we want to do the blue light early in the morning to wake you up, reset that circadian rhythm so you actually sleep better at night. So that's what we can do in the chamber to kind of target different areas. And like I said, we have it's called the B set. We put it on the B setting, which for me, one of the first times I used the head cap and the eye mask, I used the B setting, and I was going to just check out the setting. And I had a podcast on, listening to it. I had to shut the podcast off because it forced me into a meditative state, which was pretty awesome and pretty amazing the first time I used that. And then our new power bed that you got to experience last month, there's a specific mode on that for relaxation. And I've used it on I've used it myself. I used it last month, I did it and then went into a massage, and I was almost snoring almost instantly because I was so relaxed already from the bed that the massage just eased me right into a nice relaxation, more relaxed. And so I slept through most of my massage, which was okay. But I also had one of our employees, she's my office manager, she had a migraine really bad one day when she came to work, and that she wanted to go home. And I said, well, great, that's good. I got things covered. You go home. But before you do, let's stick you in the light bed. So we stuck her in the light bed on the relaxation mode. And she said that when she got done, her headache, let's say it was an 8. She said it was more like a 3 when she got out. It was more like a headache versus a migraine. And she just went home, slept, and felt really good the next day.
Matt, do you, because of what you do with these different therapies that are kind of alternative, it's alternative treatment, not medicine. Do you realize how much we as a culture, we just, we think we take the pill, we're going to take a pill and it's going to solve all of our problems. And really a lot of them, I think, are just masking or hiding them rather than really digging in and figuring out what it is that's wrong and how we can make that different. And I mean, the simple things that God already created, oxygen, the light, and how our rhythm is so off from lighting because of, electricity. It wasn't, and sitting in front of a computer screen before you go to bed, all the wrong blue light is right there in front of you. It's no wonder people aren't sleeping. Do you find that a lot with patients?
I do get a lot of folks commenting about, having trouble sleeping and stuff like that. So I share with them, there's the ability, you can go right on Amazon, has these yellow blue blocker glasses that you can put on. So when the sun goes down, like right about maybe another 45 minutes from now, if you're at home and you want to watch TV and do all the things you normally do, that's fine. Just put these yellow glasses on. It blocks the blue light if you don't have the ability to turn it off like you can on your phone, because a lot of TVs still have that blue light in the backside. That's why folks that watch TV in the bedroom have trouble falling asleep, because the blue light's on, keeping you awake. But if you put the glasses on, and that blocks the blue light, and it still allows you to watch your TV, but your circadian rhythm kicks in, your melatonin starts flowing, because the blue light keeps the melatonin from flowing and keeps you from getting sleepy and being able to fall asleep.
So Matt, what can people do? How do they get a hold of you and all that? I've got your number rolling across here, but how else can, because you guys have special deals, you have different ways people can come in. Why don't you explain that to people?
So yeah, they can go to the website, absolutely, or check that out. Find us on Facebook at New Leaf Hyperbarics Eugene. Also, first time we run a special. It's $49 for your first treatment. We get you a coupon to get 2 more right away, because we want to see you do your first 3 within 7 days. Really get you detox, get that inflammation down, and get you feeling really good. Get you, get that stress out of you as well, if that's what you're coming in for. And then after that, we got packages and different things we can do. Speaking of specials, next month is November, which means we're having our biggest sale of the year. So we call Green Saturday. It's our version of Black Friday. So it's the weekend of Thanksgiving. It's the lowest price point of the year. You can fill your account up. We have folks that buy enough to do their year's worth, because a lot of folks do maintenance. Like say they come in every other week. So they buy enough to be able to do that for the full year at that price.
Yeah, it's a great deal. So Kathy says, this is interesting. I never knew that. And then just so you know, you're kind of in a little bit of hot water, because your wife said, pretty sure that was just aimed at me. And I think she's talking about the TV in bed.
No, she knows that I just I have an eye mask that I put on when I go to bed. It's totally black. But that's because I used to work night shift. So sleeping during the day, when you work night shift, you have to, like, your room has to be totally blacked out. And I couldn't do that. So I just always had a eye mask that I wore for the longest time. So I've just always worn it now.
Matt McCarl, New Leaf Hyperbarics and Wellness Center, thank you for your support. Thank you for sponsoring the show, getting good information out tonight. Carrie says you wish you were available in Roseburg. Well,
We're
Eugene's
only an hour away, Carrie, and we rent and sell chambers, so we can always put one in your home.
Carrie, that's another thing. They do that, though. Matt will come down and set it up. You can rent them if you're going through treatment or something that you need a lot, or you can buy them for your own and have one. So one of the houses I'm looking at in Montana has a sauna.
Perfect.
A sauna in the house. I'm like,
just a plain sauna or a red sauna?
well, of course I asked me. I don't know. It looked like a plain sauna, but I didn't see any red.
Oh, that's probably not an infrared sauna. It's probably just a plain steam dry sauna.
Well, maybe I'll get one of those little red lights and put it in there.
Yeah. Well, what we'll have to do is I'll have to come over and set up a chamber at your house if you're going to be way too far away.
That would be really awesome. All right, Matt McCarl, thanks for being our sponsor. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely, sir.
Cece, forgive him. He knows not what he does. All right. Well, there you go. So, everybody, there is a group called Common Sense for Oregon, and they are working on an initiative to try to change the Constitution so that any governor can't do what they've been doing with this pandemic this way, because that wasn't the intention of the rules that were set up. And so they're trying to correct that. If you want more information, go to their website at Common Sense for Oregon, and you can find out more. Bill Lundun filled us in with a whole bunch of information. One of those stories we are trying to work on to get somebody on tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. That is the folks who are filing the suit on COVID, and we'll be talking with them tomorrow night, hopefully, about that. Tomorrow night, we will also have Kim Stark will be back, and she'll be doing events coming up this weekend to help you plan your weekend ahead. And also Scott Littlejohn is going to be on. He's an insurance broker here in town, and they do free help for people going on Medicare. And this is the time right now to sign up for Medicare. And it changes all the time, and it's complicated. And it's like not one of those things you need to sit down and put up with, because Scott doesn't charge you. The insurance companies pay him to help you do this. So he makes a living, but he doesn't charge you. So you're getting free help, and you don't have to go through all those gobbledygook government forms. He'll take you through the whole process and help you with that. So he's going to come on tomorrow night and explain a little bit about that and how you get in touch with him. And then there's no telling what else we'll have on, and then of course, Bill Lundun. Isn't it nice to have Bill on here? I really like having Bill and Kim providing a whole bunch of different information. So what can you do for us? You can share this on your page so that other people see it and know what we're doing. Encourage people to watch this, because we're kind of like the alternate news. And, we're happy to have Shelby on our page to heckle and say nasty words, because it just shows out there that the people who are the trolls are still watching and paying attention. So don't pay attention to them. Let them do what they do. Obviously, I will go in there and try to figure out how to block her ass and get her out of here. But, I had someone say to me something kind of interesting today. They were just saying, Rick, and I was at the barbershop, Renegade Barbershop, getting my hair cut from Mario, and guy sitting in the chair there, and he goes, Rick, what happened to the days when we could, disagree and everybody was fine with it? It wasn't like World War II. And I said, I don't know. I don't know what has happened, but, well, I do. When you use fear to manipulate people, then this is a residual gunk that happens. And when our leaders sometimes make decisions and do things, they don't think about the bigger ramifications, like setting up mandates. And then all of a sudden we don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough teachers. So we're hiring warm bodies over 18 to educate our children, who the only test they passed was a background check. And those are the key people who are going to be teaching your kids. These are the things that happen when people start ruling out of fear and making bad decisions and not listening to all of the public. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, because you have a voice and you deserve to use it. And we have people that believe that about you as well. So that's what we're doing here. I am Rick Dancer. Tomorrow night, we will be back at 5 o'clock. Have a great night and don't worry about it. Remember what Matt told you, breathe, take your deep breaths. And if you're having a lot of stress from this, give him a call and get in there and start getting some hyperbaric treatment or some infrared lights treatment. So there we go. I will talk with you tomorrow. See you later. Have a good night. Sleep well.